Hey guys, Stephanie here with Empower Physical Therapy. We have Hillary with us today, one of our physical
Yeah.
therapists. And one of the questions that we get all the time is, about injections. Should I go get one? Why did it not work? And so we wanted to kind of talk through a few things as to why that happened. So let's get into just some injections and why they don't work.
Yeah. So you have to figure out where the pain's coming from. There are multiple places it can be coming from. And a lot of times, if you're addressing the pain with an injection, you're like, well, why didn't it work? Because I thought I had all this inflammation and that type of thing. And then you realize that it's really a mechanical type pain. So if you're feeling like, when I do this certain thing, I have pain, and then when I don't, I'm not getting that pain, then that injection might not work for you. So there's a lot of different things we have to look at. Um, and one of them is, does the pain come and go? So if that pain's always there, then okay, maybe we could talk about like looking at like a more of a chemical reason of having pain, and the injection might be helpful.
Yeah, and we have patients that, like, I had one recently, and she had an injection in her hip because her hip was hurting so bad, and she was like, "It didn't work. It didn't even touch it."
Mm.
And her issues were coming from her back, but she also had some hip issues as well. And they went and sent her to a specialist, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, we need to go and have injections into your back." And so this is like, a procedure. You're going under. They're doing this procedure. It's a $2,000 procedure. And luckily, she got into our office first, and we started, asking her some questions, and she, didn't hurt all the time, just like, her pain came and went. She knew what she could do to create her pain, but it just wasn't going away. This has been going on for 3 months. And so we were able to navigate through that conversation and through an evaluation to give her some tools and steps to help her. And she canceled her surgery because she was feeling so much better off that one visit. Now she needs more visits to fully get her back, but she realized how much better she got so quickly that she's like, wait a second, why am I spending the money on this? Let me just see if this is actually going to help. And so, but that gives you a good example of someone that, gosh, they didn't really need it. They, their pain wasn't constant irritation, like throbbing, achy, that she couldn't change her position to kind of change it. This was very mechanical because she could change her position. It was something that did come and go.
Yeah, definitely trying physical therapy first before going to get an injection, just to evaluate and see, like, okay, well, can we make a change with movement before going in and getting that expensive injection? You can save the money, save the time, and really, like, if you get one injection too, a lot of doctors will say, okay, let's try with one injection. Maybe they'll say, well, you might need three, right? But if the first injection doesn't help, the second one's not going to help. The third one's not going to help. So there's really no need to go get another one. Um, and the research for injections is kind of like, it's kind of wish-washy. So if you're really looking into the science, it's just not where you're going to want to start.
Yeah, I remember when I was going through a lot of my higher level physical therapy training, and we had to do a ton of research and pull different things in.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm going to do research on injections. So I went and pulled up research, and I just was reading the research and then reading more research. So I didn't care. It could have been on the elbow, it could have been on the hip, it could have been on the knee, it could have been on the back. It was just all this different research on injections. And literally, the research was general exercise, not even specific exercises where if you really get to a really good physical therapist that understands the body, general exercise was better a year down the road than an injection. And on average, the injections lasted 4 to 6 weeks, and that was it. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But it kind of makes sense because you're not getting education as to what are you doing throughout the day that could be creating some of your problems. You're not getting education as far as what you can do to help. It's just, here's a drug or here's an injection, and this will take care of it, and you're good. And that's not always the case.
Yeah, it's just going to cover up those symptoms for a period of time, and if you don't change anything else, then more than likely it's going to come back. So Yeah, I mean, there are examples of times when we'd say, yeah, like I think it's time you should try an injection. But that's most of the time that's after realizing that the pain is coming from more of like a chemical inflammation of the body. And we know, okay, I think the injection is really going to help calm things down so that we can get to the source of the problem and progress things a little bit better. So they do have a place, but most of the time they're just over prescribed, overused.
We've had patients like that. I mean, we had one recently last week who had a fall and things got super irritated, and we saw her and she was so spasmed. Like that was what was hurting her, her spasm hurting her. And when we worked on her, it didn't really last. And I'm like, it's because you are so irritated. You need to start taking some medications. And that rarely comes out of my mouth, but there's a time and a place for it.
Mhm.
And so she did. She started getting some medications, just over the counter stuff, and then got to her doctor, got some heavier stuff, and then we now kind of knew where the source is coming from. But by the time I got to her at the end of the week, I was actually able to do more, like give her more benefit because so much of that had calmed down from that irritation. So that's when drugs really can't help on that initial like total total spasms, irritation, constant pain that they're in. That's when they're going to help, and they're going to help us help you be more successful as well. So this is not a bash drugs, bash injections, because there is a time and place for it. They just get overused.
Mhm. Yeah. And you know, you really don't need, like, if you go in and you get that injection, like you're probably going to need to have some sort of like change in your life or some sort of physical activity or PT to go along with that to make sure that it doesn't come back again.
Yeah, absolutely. And so these are the questions that you should just ask yourself. So if you're like, should I get this? Should I not get this? If your pain is not there every minute of the day, like you can literally, like the pain comes and goes, injections, medications are not going to help you. And if you can change your position and make it better and worse, like we'll have people like, yeah, when I'm sitting, it hurts worse. When I get up and I move around, it feels a little bit better. Like if you can make it better by changing your position, then it's also not going to help you unless you are just super irritated. But usually, when you're super irritated, you can't find positions that make you feel better.